Hello, City Skylines fans. I'm Socks Way Up, and welcome back to another relaxing episode of Vanilla City Skylines. First thing, I think it's about time we gave this city a name. If anyone has any ideas for that, hit that up in the comments. I would love to hear your ideas for the name of this city. I've really been enjoying making it, and I think we're going to keep it going for a while. I really do. Today we're going to expand the city a little bit. We're also going to look at some mass transit. We're going to look at the metro system and adding a couple of bus routes. But first we're going to expand, add some more offices and residential buildings, and play around with districts and specialties in the vanilla districts that you can do, so you can manipulate the type of houses that are being built and also the type of commercial that we're going to lay down. We don't necessarily get to the commercial in this episode, but we'll get to it pretty soon. So looking at the map here, the areas we want to focus on for the metro are the big industry area here, the downtown there, and the main area that we started with. So first we're going to jump into expanding the city, and one of the things I wanted to touch on here was the way I use the terrain. I know we've probably talked about this before, at least in other episodes, but I'm kind of just looking at this coastline and letting it dictate the way we're going to lay down this large road that's going to turn into one of the main roads in the city eventually, when we get more tiles unlocked, when we get to add another freeway exit that attaches that. But here we're just following along the coastline. We make a few mistakes that we correct later on, but you can see we're pre-planning a lot of expansion right here. And one of the things you might notice right away is the game sped up a little bit. We are playing this back in a time lapse. I'm giving that a shot. It was important to me for this series to record every or as much of the build as possible and not do things off camera or do things a way that you don't see, especially because we're doing this vanilla. There might be some tips and tricks and weird things that I do to get around some of the quirks of the vanilla game. But right now we are just expanding. We're adding some more roads. We're fixing some of those curves that we didn't like originally. And some of the things that I like to do there is just kind of lay down where I want the main road to be or where I want the entire road to go across, and then kind of fix some of the weird quirks with the curves and the bends and make them look a little bit better, since I can't use Move It as we've talked about quite a bit in this series. But here we got that main area where we're kind of sad that we can't expand to yet because we don't have the tiles unlocked. But here we're doing a little bit more, just extending some roads, kind of thinking about where will this road eventually connect, or these two roads. So you can see they'll come close to the coastline. It'll probably be a little three-way intersection there. It'll be interesting. That might become a problem long term. But yeah, just some pre-planning. And then next we're gonna get into, well, before we do that, we take a peek at all of our electricity, our water, our garbage, and we make sure everything's good where we want it before we decide to expand like crazy here. So we first start with some offices. We do have an industry demand going on, and then we extend that out a little bit more so we can fit a little bit more office. So we're at the point where regular industry is not going to be as high of a demand as the offices are. And then here we're also plopping in a little bit of commercial, which I forget about later on as I start detailing that area. It's kind of entertaining to me. But here now we're going to build out our new residential area. We're really just trying to utilize all of the space and not make too many intersections on that road that leads into the neighborhoods, and just try to get every square as possible filled and do, somewhat of a design that's not too grid-like, as we've mentioned a lot, but you can see the coast is really broken away from that anyways for us. So yep, we just keep going along, and we're going to zone it up here in a little bit and get that built out. This is where we do a little bit of the specialty zoning. So here we're going to zone it, create this district, and then we're going to click on the residential area and do the self-sufficient homes. And also for future planning, we're going to do the organic and local produce, which we'll see some neat buildings come in with that when we do zone some commercial in this new area. Board Heights. All right, we get all this zoning exactly how we want it, and then we move on to a little different area, but we finish that up first. It's a little harder to do the time lapse. I think it's helping with the length of the video, but here we look at our work and see how we like the way it's turning out. We turn the game up to ×3 at this point to allow it to populate a lot quicker. We come over here, realize we don't have electricity connecting, so instead of using power lines, I decide to add a building there, one of the parks. kind of just connect the two areas up. And then this is where I forgot I already zoned this area for commercial. It's like, yeah, let's start detailing this. Let's make it look nice. We're gonna put some trees in here. We're gonna add a little bit of bushes. And then as I'm doing that, over there, we're kind of covering the terrain flaws with that area. But here we come in with some smaller trees, then we go with some of the shrubs, and we see a building start populating and realize I'm a doofus. Right here, we put that one down and it populates. So we decide to leave it zoned because we did want commercial there, and I thought it was funny, so I left that in the video. But here we just finished kind of covering up the terrain flaws around here. We could have used some of the terrain tools, but I feel like that was plenty to get it covered up and make it look nice while we finish this area of the build today. Yeah, that turned out pretty cool, and the new neighborhood's coming in. We got our offices that built quick, and we forgot water. So we're gonna put the water down, and that area is set for now. We just gotta, let the population take care of itself and people move on in. And while we were in the mood of using districts, we came over to this industry area. We decided to district it and then add the forestry industry specialty to it. So now we have our forest industry DLC forest buildings, as well as the vanilla forest buildings that will get blended in by us making this change. That's going to pretty much sum up the expansion portion of today's build. As you see me laying down these roads here. We placed down just a small section to expand out here. We may come back to it later and expand even more, but I wanted to balance the industry versus office demand that we were dealing with right now. So we put a few industry buildings out here and let the game roll. All right, so this next part, we focus on the metro. So first we're gonna find our metro buildings and we're gonna place down where we want them. This one I put near the main industry building in the forest area. So I added just a little road for them and plopped down the metro station. Then we came back over here to our new office area that we built, and we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna build a specific area just for the metro to go. We can put some commercial maybe around that later, but that'll satisfy the need there. And then we come down here by the university and we put that on the back, kind of away from the main traffic of the area. And then in the downtown area, we wanted to put it by the commercial and office buildings instead of by the residential, so that the noise doesn't bother the citizens too much. And at this point, we move into fun with railroads. I personally don't like the changes that they've made since Sunset Harbor and how the metro lines worked. I personally thought they were fine, but you can see I'm struggling with it because apparently you can't go through water anymore with metro lines. If anybody knows what I was doing wrong, this was news to me today. So we play around with it for a little bit, but we figure out our problem is it's just not going to let us go through the water. So unfortunately, we have to bring our metro lines above ground to satisfy that need of the game, the silly mechanics. I did not know that until I started recording this, but we press on, we figure out how to raise we first put one here to help us figure out exactly how we want to get this to work. So we just put them above. We put the bridges across the water. This is tough for me to explain for some reason. And then we go back underground and get it all sorted out. And one of the things that I guess is a problem with the way that I play, or a downfall, is I don't really care about my lines underneath being pretty. One thing you do want to do is make sure they do connect to the stations. That's a pro tip right there. But yeah, I don't really focus on pretty metro lines. They're underground. You don't really see them. I don't know how other people feel. Sometimes it is nice to look at this view and see nice clean lines, but I just get them connected and get them functional. To me, they're a functionality of the game, not necessarily a good looking part of it. But even though I just kind of bashed on the changes, they do give you the flexibility now to make a railroad/metro system that can be partially underground and above ground. And they do have the different exits that give it a different visual look and a different style that can fit a different city, like Chicago, that has a more of a train system instead of a subway system compared to New York. And so I do like that there is that flexibility, but me personally, I didn't see anything wrong with the original way that the metros worked prior to Sunset Harbor. But we keep plugging away, getting these working, and this is the part that just, it didn't turn out great. We turn this and sneak it underground, and the angle of it just, it wasn't great. I think I could go back and redo that a little bit better, but we got the functionality up and running so we can show the benefits of building out these metros. Just one more here to connect, and we just kind of go quick and dirty on it, unfortunately, but that's fine. So here we're going to add the lines, and what I like to do is we're going to do this, I guess we did the counterclockwise one first, but we go counterclockwise around the entire loop and then reverse it to be clockwise the other direction. Yeah, that's what that means. So that people can pick and choose between the closest direction that they want to go. If they don't want to do the entire loop to get to the next stop, they can just go the other direction. But that pretty much sums up building out the metro station. Now it's just to kind of hang out and wait for people to use it. And you can see instantly people are using it. I have found the metro systems to be almost a exploit in the game to really help with traffic as long as you do it right. And here we just happen to put the subway and hit Grand City, 18,000. We opened that. We put the subway right by a bus stop. So you can see people are already coming across the street, going straight into the metro. So that is exactly what we wanted to see with our mass transit. We want people to be able to go from the subway, jump onto a bus stop, and vice versa. And here we see people showing up to work. Yep, going to work, Get this guy here, going to work. And there's a ton of them. They're just coming through. Perfect. Worked exactly like we wanted. Here we also add a little bus route in the industry area so that people don't have to walk all the way to their work building. We maybe can put a bus stop closer to where they're actually working so they can get off the subway and then hop onto the bus, get to their destination, make it a lot quicker without having to use their own vehicle. Yeah, overall, I'm satisfied with the way that's turning out. The numbers don't show up too good in the statistics yet, but we're getting there. It'll show up over a few cycles, and you'll see there's a lot of people using the subways. And to end this episode, we're going to just look at what was a confusing little bit of traffic. Vanilla game, you gotta love it. They're backing up. We add a second lane here because we see that some of the cars want to sneak by, and since the traffic's backing up, I don't know why I forgot that the game does this. Now they favor the right lane, get to closer to the exit, and start changing lanes. Let's just watch this for a little bit. That's so bizarre. I don't get the AI in this game. I don't get it. So we do eventually decide, let's go back to a single lane for the first portion of that off ramp. And then we still give them the 2 lanes towards the end after staring at it for a while and just being confused at the way this game works. But yeah, we reverse that back, and then we get rid of the stop sign, and then also reverse the change that we made to help speed things up. But also getting rid of that stop sign actually fixed the problem. But you can see here, yeah, we bumped that back, and that's gonna do it. That's gonna fix the traffic in that area as well as bring this episode to an end. I want to thank everyone for joining, everyone for hanging out. Let me know what you think about the time lapse instead of just playing it at ×1 speed. We only did it at ×2, so it shouldn't have been too fast or too hard for anyone's eyes to follow. I know sometimes the time lapses are a little fast and there's a lot of moving around. Yeah, let me know what you think about that. And I thought it would help to also keep this episode a little bit shorter, even though it was about 30 minutes of gameplay. We cut down the video to about 16 minutes. Yeah, we're going to keep expanding this city. We're going to keep using a lot of the vanilla functionality to the game. Eventually, we will do a final episode or a couple episodes where we bring in the mods and make some changes to things. You can see we got 18,000. Next is 28,000, gets us another tile. And then every milestone moving forward gets us more and more tiles for us to expand and finish up this city. Again, let me know if you have any ideas for the name of the city. I would love to hear that. I'm Socks Way Up. Thanks for joining. I'll catch you on the next one.